Welcome back from the break, everyone. And boy, is today going to be an action-packed show. This should be interesting. We're talking about censorship and tolerance. We have with us at the first blast Dr. Arif Alvi. He's joined us before as well. Thank you. Today we'll be discussing censorship. So, what is censorship?
I think censorship is the phenomenon by which all information necessarily does not have to be shared. Either it is practiced by the mother on a child, or it is practiced by the state on its people, or it is practiced by the religious cadre to prevent some information going out or coming in and spoiling the structure which they have so painfully established over centuries.
At every level.
Centuries, so censorship has a lot of dimensions. In some areas you would feel that it is very natural to be there. It is a socio-cultural situation. It is an age-related situation. For example, in a number of societies there is a continuous debate with television coming up more so and occupying a child's time much more compared to the previous age. When I and you grew up, I probably did not see as much television, single channel. So therefore the input was from the parents in my building up of my life and character building. But today the input of the parents is probably less and the input of the television medium is very high. So therefore parents feel and society feels that what comes into their houses should have some semblance to the type of culture or the type of values they want to instill in their own children. So that's where censorship plays a role within a family. You see, and it is there in every family, not only television medium. If there's a gruesome incident happening, the mother would put her hand on the child's eyes. She doesn't want the child to see that gruesome incident or something which would be very painful to the child. And in assessment, for example, even in the in Swat or everywhere else, in those assessments there are some instances which parents have felt that the children should not have seen. So starting from within the family, going to social cultural tradition, and it's a very volatile, it's a very flexible thing, and with every day and age it changes. So what we decide today, probably 10 years down the road, it may not be the same because the values of society will change. Now, and the same principle of censorship or freedom of speech cannot be applied across societies. And there's a very good example because on these issues, people from the third world usually look up to the Western nations and developed nations for freedom of speech and for less censorship. But you would find that Europe and United States, for example, the two champions of freedom of speech, have different levels of censorship. Europe is much more liberal, even in nudity and arts and everything, and the United States is relatively more conservative in that. And there are also, there is also a very close association between freedom of speech, lack of censorship, and creativity. For example, in Renaissance. If you go to Europe and you see all what had happened during the Renaissance and the beautiful masterpieces which were made, nudes and expressions and all that. So I think the more you curtail human thought on any ground with any bias that restricts understanding and thinking even in other fields, you liberate human thought, and that leads to a lot of creativity.
We talked about censorship in the construct of how it changes from, say, the state's control right down to the nuclear census of the family, right? The little circle, right? But who gets to decide what gets censored? I mean, like you said, if you censor, you stifle
creativity.
You stifle thinking in a way.
That's true.
Once you stifle thinking, then creativity will automatically take a back seat. But when you do it at a state level, it has very, very far-reaching effects. And I don't think they are limited just to the creative field. Then we create vacuums, do we not? I think
there has to be a good balance for every age and era. The same balance will not apply anywhere else. You see, for example, Aristotle came up with a theory of geocentric, that everything revolved around the earth. And Galileo challenged that only because of scientific knowledge, and Copernicus challenged that. Galileo went through an inquisition and the church banned all his books, punished him, sentenced him. So sometimes knowledge challenges the established religion. Therefore censorship comes in, and military censorship is also there. For example, today, on the political scene, what is happening in Swat, the government does not want people to be disturbed by the image of whatever is happening. So therefore the military censorship right now, which will open up later in time. Then there have been challenges in society and democracy to this censorship. For example, the freedom of the Freedom of Knowledge and Information Act in the United States opened up a lot of issues which were censored. For example, the Vietnam War started from the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which today in 2005 it was revealed that it was a cooked up incident. It was never there, it never happened.
Oh, this sounds familiar now. This goes back to weapons of mass destruction now. But let's move on. That's a separate discussion. Yeah. But yes, you know, all kinds of things happen. We have a tendency also, I think, to correlate censorship with public virtue.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
It is necessary that some censorship should be there at the public level. For example, if I have the freedom to express anything I want to. Now, sitting in front of the information like television, I have to use words in a manner which is not offensive to people. I have to use words with you in a manner which is not offensive. The first censorship starts with me in my own words. I may be thinking so many different things about you, but I may not be.
Okay, forgiven.
So therefore, the first censorship starts with you. Okay. And your choice of words. For example, a child talking to a parent, a social acquaintance talking among themselves. So that's the first censorship. And going beyond that, there are certain things which I should not be allowed to say or use which hurt you. You see, my freedom of expression is also a limiting factor. Whatever I say should not hurt you, and that is where you've seen the recent conflicts on the Danish cartoons and other things, you know, because the Muslim world felt that the freedom of expression is fine, but it hurts us. And there's a contradiction. It's offensive to us, and there's a contradiction, and sometimes in societies, not necessarily all in the West, we have a lot of contradictions here. But let me point out one contradiction, that you cannot ridicule the Holocaust by law. Even today, a British gentleman is being tried in a German court for saying that the Holocaust did not happen to that degree what it was supposed to be. So just by saying that, you think some of us. This is a very this is a very.
I was going to say, this is a very swampy ground.
Yeah.
It's very fluid. It varies and it changes, as you said, from different social cultural backgrounds to nation, state, country,
everywhere.
Society.
It's just like a kaleidoscope, you know.
Yeah, you just keep changing it, and the colors and the combinations keep changing as the scope moves across the world.
But there should be some basic values which we should not go beyond.
So there is an ethos you believe we should have. What is that?
What is freedom of expression and censorship?
Let me ask you.
Who does that? You see, your question, I think I answered that. Who does that? You know, now,
who decides?
Is the government? No, I don't think it should be the government. It should be a peer review kind of a thing. You know, people who, it's not the religious scholars. If you leave censorship to the religious scholars, probably you won't be there.
Okay, let's stop there. All right. I'm sorry, we have to go to break now. But after the break, more about censorship. And there's a curveball I'll be throwing in there just after the break.